Joining. Meanwhile, we can get started. Yeah. Welcome everyone to this exciting webinar on transform productivity with Gen AI tools. First of all, I would like to thank everyone for taking out the time to join us today. In the next 90 minutes, we are going to dive deep into how generative AI tools are reshaping the way we work, we think, and we achieve results. Now, whether you are a tech professional, non-tech, in data science, data engineering, or just a professional looking to stay ahead of the curve or simply curious about the Gen AI capabilities, we're gonna cover everything in this webinar. The session is going to be very practical, interactive, and we're gonna do a lot of demos there. Let me introduce our speakers for the day. Mr. Sachin Grover, the Vice President of Learning Solutions and Delivery at StackRoot, and Mr. Gaurav Padhasin, the General Manager and Solutions Architect for AI/ML at StackRoot. Both of our speakers are passionate about empowering professionals to leverage the power of AI for exponential productivity. So before we dive in, let me quickly set up the context. Generative AI tools like ones what we're going to explore today are transforming how we approach tasks, automate processes, and unlock the creativity out. Guys, can we please go on a mute? That's fine. Let me mute the participants. Yeah. The tools that we're going to explore today, the Gen AI tools, Gen AI, generative AI tools, these tools are transforming how we approach the tasks. How do we automate the process and we unlock the creativity out of these tools? The goal of this workshop is simple. We try to equip everyone with the practical approaches, strategies to boost the productivity in a way it's both, efficient and sustainable. Without any further delay, I would, let me welcome Sachin, Mr. Sachin, to take over and guide us into the world of generative AI tools. Over to you, Sachin.
Yeah, thank you, Abhilash, and thank you all for joining in. I am sure you have taken time to join this. We will try and make this session a little more engaging. We have some couple of demonstrations using leveraging various tools, and we just want to give you a little bit of insights into uh, what is happening on the Gen AI front for different kind of roles and some use cases. Gaurav and I will make an attempt to answer each and every aspect and try and give you a little more insights. Towards the end, we will also talk about a couple of challenges, or what do you say? We not only not challenges though per se, but there are more of implications and what is the road ahead in some of these areas, and what are we seeing, looking at how we are discussing with our customers, how they are leveraging generative AI at various in various roles and functions. Uh, so to do that, I would request Gaurav uh, uh, to also introduce himself. So first, let me just take a while to just talk about myself. I've been with NIT almost like 2 decades. I've been more of a learning solution architect, transitioned to different roles. I've been working with StackRoot for the last uh, 10 years, and have been also working lately on the Gen AI initiative here at StackRoot. We have been building some of the stuff which we'll also demonstrate today as part of one of the demos towards the end. What are we doing in some of those areas for enhancing the learner experience or stakeholder experience? And some of these tools that, again, from a productivity standpoint, how is it helping us as an ed tech company from some of those things? And I will also talk about some of the success stories and Gen AI capabilities that we carry, uh, which will give you a fair idea about what we are doing. So I lead the delivery and some of the learning solutions at the bootcamp and the lateral space here at StackRoot. Uh, But let me, before we get delve into it, I will request Gaurav to please introduce himself.
Sure, sure. Thanks, Abhilash. Thank you, Sachin. Hi. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the webinar series from StackRoot. Stay ahead with StackRoot webinar series. Uh, so my name is Gaurav. As Sachin introduced, I lead the AIML practice at NIT StackRoot. Come with close to 15 years of experience. Started my journey as a data scientist way back in 2010. I don't think so the word existed back then. But yeah, the role was a business analyst and then moved into BI and predictive analytics. Worked with different organizations, Fidelity Investments, Walmart as part of my customers. Uh, and then moved to the other side of it, to the edtech side of it. From past 8, 9 years, I have been associated with corporates, organizations to understand their learning requirements, their talent capabilities, and how we can help them to achieve the goals what they are looking from a learning initiative standpoint. Uh, as Sachin mentioned, we would like to keep this session as specific as possible. Means Sachin and I had a detailed, we have been debating about it honestly, that what to really go ahead and how do we make it more interesting. Because there's already so much noise about Gen AI. Everyone is talking about Gen AI. So, what special we can add to this session? What value we can bring it to the table, right? So we decided to take an approach that keep it simple. Let's not bring the history, geography of Gen AI and how it can change the world's hunger problem, right? Idea is how it can impact each one of us individually and the organizations for which we are working, and how we can go ahead and apply some of these. Yeah. So I would one small hygiene request. If you're not
Gaurav, you need to unmute, I think. Yeah.
You are on mute, Gaurav. Yeah.
Was I on mute since start or just now
No,
got?
no.
No, no, just now, just now. One
Okay,
second.
okay, yeah. Okay, somebody muted me. I think mute all option is there in Teams. Okay. Uh, so great. So yeah, how it can touch your life, right? In a both professional and a personal way. How can you make your, how can you use different productivity tools to enhance, and obviously to generate better quality. Means nothing comes at a cost of quality. We are not talking about creating shortcuts, and so does the industry, right? That Gen AI can create shortcuts with poor quality. How can you still maintain that high quality work and automate the standardized tasks, and some of it will show it through demos, uh, and we'll delve into that. But before that, we would like to do a quick poll to know the audience better. I know all of you have already mentioned the reason for attending the session. What I have been seeing, some of you wanted to just understand about Gen AI, some of you wanted to know how it can help me in my job role, and some of you are just curious to see what are the different tools available in Gen AI. So Sachin and I discussed this to have a small poll. There are a couple of questions. I would request Sachin to just enable the polls for everyone, uh, and just yes or no, right? We just want to know the audience better, and that is the primary objective. I can still see a lot of people are joining in. I would request someone to admit them in the session.
Hope you are able to see a poll.
I am able to see, so I'm hoping others can also see. Yeah. If someone is not able to access the poll, you can just message in the chat box, or you can message your response in the chat box. I'll actually stay on screen. So great.
So almost 75% people have said no. So they haven't been using any other tool apart from ChatGemini, Gemini, or Copilot. So that's what we wanted, Gaurav.
Excellent. Okay. So yes, this session is going to be very, very useful in that case. I think and let's move on with that. So the idea is to use simple tools first and foremost thing. We don't want anybody to to learn a new tool and then apply GenAI. You know, the very first demo what we're going to talk about is Microsoft Excel. I'm sure everyone has used an MS Excel, right? How can you leverage GenAI capabilities in Excel? That's one demo which we are going to talk about. Uh, but as I mentioned earlier, right, idea is to look at three aspects: productivity, quality, and innovation, right? And this diagram explains it better and address three key problems. How can we be better, faster, and work at a lower cost and optimized cost? Because all three are important KPIs for any organization which you work with, be it across, and it is domain agnostic, technology agnostic, wherever you go, that is the ask from the people, right? Now, we all know what GenAI can bring to the table. As I said earlier, we don't want to spend too much time, but yes, it can create new experiences. It can bring in productivity change, enhancement, shift, whatever word you call it. It can help you to generate actionable insights, right? So, how would you? There are multiple insights the data can provide to you and can automate for you. What actions can you take from the insights? Then I can also take that, help you how to do it. And it can be a lot more creative, right? I mean, it can, as the name goes, generative AI, it can generate new content, it can generate ideas, it can help you, to identify or look at different personas, different areas of growth. And some of the areas can also be looked for improvement. Some of the areas can be a new addition to the entire org structure. We have taken, so when we are doing this, when we created the survey monkey form for taking the registrations, we have also realized there are three kinds of audience what we have. Majority of them will fall under one of these buckets. Okay, so there is a question, I guess, from Venkat. uh, I'll take that question if it is important at this point of time, but I would request also to wait for the Q&A. But Venkat, please feel free, you can ask your question.
Probably you can keep putting your questions on the chat. We can try and answering over there.
That would be nice. Yeah. Thank
Yeah.
you. Okay, great. So, Abhilash, I would request you to just moderate that if there are any questions coming out, because I can't see the chat option here. I am
Sure. Yeah, sure.
okay. So yeah, for anyone who is using GenAI as an adopter, right? It will help you to obviously create content. So if you are in L&D, if you're working, in different departments other than the programming or the delivery, you can use it for content creation. You can use it for simple insight generation. If you're HR, you're in finance, or you're in operations, right? It can also help you to obviously do a quick, cosmetic things like, translations, grammar. In fact, I'll show you one. There is a small, a tool add in Excel that how can you translate one language to another, and how fast and seamless it can be, right? You don't have to go outside Excel to do that. And then it can also help you to generate some of the training modules as L&D professionals. As HR, you would like to create certain modules which are, bite-sized content. It used to take a lot of time. We all know it. How GenAI can create this in a much faster way, in a better way, and obviously maintaining the quality. The other piece is, data scientist, and it is not limited only to data scientists. It is anyone who is working in data. So if you are a data engineer, you're a data analyst, you're working as a visualization expert or a data scientist. Uh, Everyone's bread and butter is EDA, exploratory data analysis. We cannot be untouched by that, right? GenAI enables you, and it will help you to automate this whole process. At least the first principles of pre-processing and cleaning can be done. It still requires a lot of human interaction, intervention to refine it for your customer and for the problem what you're solving. But believe me, the power what it can generate, it solves more than half of your problem, right? And we'll see some of that also today. And other things like testing for model validation, model testing, fine tuning, identification of the model across different problem statements, insight generation, and collaboration. Right, these are some of the key aspects. I would request Sachin to also, sort of delve into the point that how it can help programmers, right? Because that is where they keep asking that how is my life going to be easy? So over to you, Sachin.
Yeah, so I think from a perspective of the other community which we are looking at, not only, for example, I would just wanted to highlight couple of the reports which we have been studying and reading about. For example, this is one of the LinkedIn reports on how the work changes are going to be happening across the board, what they are seeing. So as per their survey, they're looking at a lot of these careers at a different level of maturity are giving way to some of the new skills which are required. Now, by 2030, they're saying 70% of the skills that are used in most jobs will change because AI is becoming like a catalyst. It is actually causing a lot of change, where a lot of mundane and automation will come in play, and hence humans will have to get and acquire a little more of higher order skills, where critical thinking, decision making, problem solving will become little more important and critical. And while the mundane jobs can be taken care of by the machines and the agents of those. So I think they are looking at a lot of the existing workforce across industries. And again, it's not only limited to the enabler segment. We call the enabler segment as the engineering segment, where most of you, some of you are as part of the group as well, who are part of the engineering teams, programming, and all those spaces where you are enabling certain business processes and workflows in the form of some computing solutions. A lot of these newer skills are getting added, and they are noticing this as part of the LinkedIn. So we, as you know, there are several use cases, but predominantly three areas which GenAI impacts, which is productivity, quality, as well as the innovation part. And our attempt today would be to just cover some of those aspects of productivity. But if you look at the from a programming community, there are specific use cases, and while when you go down deep into leveraging generative AI, there are several use cases that we are trying to do. For example, today it is being used for language translation. So code generation debugging is one portion of the whole thing. Test case generation, version control management, helping you create documentation, explaining the code, optimizing your code, uh, or making writing secure code, improving the quality of the work that you're doing, uh, converting your legacy code into the modern stacks. All of these are all today's use cases for the programming segment. And as they are progressing and working upon, in today's scenario, it is transitioning to something more beyond, which we will also talk about once we get into later part of this session. But this is very extremely profound set of technologies which are coming up and the innovations which are happening at this space, which will cause this whole industry to disrupt significantly. And as we are talking to different customers, which ranges between GSIs and the GCCs, how they are working, how they are adopting the engineering teams to work on these areas. Uh, uh, we are very excited because it will though open up a lot of new areas to work upon, but it will also ensure that some of these current skill set may get deprecated from that perspective as well. Yeah, Gaurav, back to you.
Thank you, Sachin. Thank you. So, uh, without wasting any more time, I think this is what you have signed up for. And the very first demo, as I mentioned earlier, is primarily about Excel, right? But before we get into that, I just want to set some ground rules. AI is not a substitute to human judgment. Humans will still take the final decision, right? It will help you to take some decisions or maybe decide between two important things, right? But you would be the one to take the final decision. There will be data dependencies. AI doesn't understand data as such, right? The context has to be provided if you want AI to process that data. And there would be complex scenarios where you need to give for a lot more context, create structured data sets, and define tasks. Having said that, there are tools which can enable that also for you, right? But for this particular demo, since we are taking up Excel as one of the primary tools, some of the limitations I'm calling it out. Whenever you do this demo, don't merge cells because it complex the entire process. Just keep as it is the raw format. And that is the easier format, the first format what you create in Excel. Make sure that you don't change the data types. Whatever Excel is picking it up, it should be there. The data entry has to be there. And some of the data validation rules can be also checked through Excel. I'll quickly now open the screen. Just give me a moment. Okay. So let me know if you're able to see my screen. In fact, this would also be a good point to take a small pause and see if there are any questions. Do we have any questions? Not yet. Okay. Anyone is, I hope my screen is visible.
Yes.
Okay, great.
Which version
so-
of MS you are using, Varun?
This is the MacBook last, I can check this. Yeah, this is the version 16.93, Excel for Mac.
Okay, it is MS 365, right?
Yeah,
Thank you. Thanks.
yeah. There are few data sets, I've just populated it for the demo. What we are going to start with is the AI aided formula editor. So the way to do it, you have to actually go to add-ins. You can see it's already there in my add-in. If not, you have to select. You can go to more add-ins and select. This is the add-in what I'm talking about. And once you have that, it will come as a task in the taskbar here. You click on this. Now, what is the job of this AI-aided formula editor? It is that sometimes we do struggle with the syntax. Sometimes we do struggle what will go in the what formula I have to write. I know the logic, but either a comma is missing, or or an equal to is missing, or and so on and so forth, right? We are going to use this data set. I have in fact populated some of the prompts for you, which I will just going to use it for the sake of time. I'll go to the engagement status and I'm going to write the logic.
Could you please show it again how you enable that option AI edit?
Okay, sure. You go to home, you see add-ins, go to more add-ins. In fact, I have a screenshot for you if you can follow this. Go to add-ins, click on more add-ins, select AI edit formula editor and download it. Okay. Now let's move on. Let's start with a very simple question. So this is your data taken for a session. Multiple questions, multiple data points have been captured. I just want to know average attendance for overall attendance, right? I just do this. Submit option. It gives me this. Means this you can do it here also, but I just want to show you a very basic example that you take this, paste it here. Okay, paste it here. It will tell you the average percentage, right? But now let's do something interesting. Now I have another data set which has multiple records, right? I'm talking about more than 10,000, 40,000 records. Now what I essentially want to do, in fact, I can also show you a complex formula before that. Now I don't have this column created. I have an attendance. I want to create a logic What is my logic? Anything less than 50% put in category 1, 51 to 74 category 2. Simple English, right? I can't write this in Excel, so I will just submit. You get this formula. Can take category is generated. Are you able to see this? Okay. Now this can also be done using another plugin, which you can do the same through an add-in and insert directly here if you don't even want to copy. What I can do, I can go to another plugin, which is GPT for Excel Word. And again, copy paste the same logic and ask to create the formula, generate formula. And this is the active cell, just insert in the active cell. So no, you don't even have to copy paste. It automatically creates for you. Okay. The other is what I wanted to show of our employees. Now I want to see, I have a data set where I have, employee database about a variety of things, multiple information about them. I want to know how many of them we are all are hearing a lot about overtime, right? 90 hours, 70 hours. I just want to calculate how many people are doing overtime. In fact, I already have the data here. Let me delete all of this, right? And this data is already given to me. I want to see whether the tool generates the right information for me or not. Again, I'll keep the active cell next to the existing data. I'm using column J, which is my hours per week, generate formula. Or why would I'm doing copying it? I'll just do and insert in active cell. No, sorry, this is another. I didn't copy it properly. I want this is the prompt. There's something wrong. Yeah. So this is what happened. I'm able to now find this. I have not even copied the formula. It is just there. Now I'm able to see how many people have done overtime, undertime. And you can do this for many. Means I have multiple prompts. I just want to know how many people have worked more than 90 hours a week, how many people have done overtime and versus on time. Similarly for state, age, right? But obviously for the interest of time, we can't do everything. I also want to show you an interesting thing which is already there. You don't need an add-in for that. That interesting thing is your analyze data option. Just go to home page, click on analyze data. I'll take one quick. So this is again the same data set. What I'm trying to do, somebody has completed a topic and scored something. I want to just know the total completed activity and run this and insert this. Right? So for this particular strategic thinking, I have the table, I have the chart, and I can deep dive into this, right? And then again, for the same data set, let me pick one more thing for which you'll have to write very complex formulas. On this employee database again, I go back and ask average hours per week for work class, one segment, and occupation, and generate this. You cannot find a good answer. There are too many boxes open. Wait. Maybe I'll have to select. It has given me. I can just insert this. I have the information. I have not created any pivot chart, any pivot table. It has come automatically, right? I'm able to see by occupation, work class, local government, all the different work classes, and I have a grand total, right? So this is what AI-aided formula editor and analyze data can help you to achieve. Automate chart creation, automate pivot tables, and in fact also generate some insights, right? And if there are any specific questions, I would like to take it up now before we move on. Abhilash, are there any questions? If you can just check.
No,
I want
no questions on.
Yeah, I think Rilke wants to say something.
so earlier question we asked, right? Have you worked on using any Gen AI tool for work or personal productive, excluding generic Chat GPT or Gemini or Copilot? So
Mhm.
how Gen AI is different than these tools which you have mentioned, exclusion of these two tools?
Yeah, so actually, very good question. So so everything is based on Gen AI, and there are multiple specific activities what you can do. If you look at this AI edit, I'll show you one example. When you look at this GPT for Excel Word, this is actually based on all the LLM models, right? But it intends to do a very specific task. And we'll talk about agents, we'll talk about how RAGs work, at the later point of section, Sachin will brief on that. So it is still based on Gen AI, but there are different tools which are intended to do specific tasks. In this case, I'm doing a simple data analysis in Excel, right?
Okay.
And GPT is a more generic tool, right? You can do any activity. You can do a text summarization, you can do an email writing, you can also do a code generation, right? So it's more of a general purpose tool. These are specific tools intended to do a particular task. Does that answer your question?
Okay.
Okay. Okay, great. Now, one more interesting thing I want to show, which we struggle a lot, right? What I want to show, let me clean up some of this file. I've been doing some testing. How, if we gather, suppose we work in HR, we work in operations or marketing, or work as a data scientist. We all know about sentiment analysis. I mean, some of the data scientists would be familiar with the sentiment analysis term, but I generally want to know as a marketing head how people are talking about my products. And I have collected a lot of survey data from my distributor, retailer, consumers. And so in for HR, what perceptions people do have for their organization, how what do they think about the culture, or employee surveys what you launch. Can you summarize all of this information and come to a conclusion and do a sentiment analysis, right? And the answer is yes, you can do it by using Excel. You don't need anything else. So I have taken this data where a mentor has given feedback to all the learners on two important questions. At least two areas where the participant has done well, at least two areas of improvement, right? Now, how would I do this? Again, there are two ways. I can use a UI-based approach, which is the GPT for Excel Word, the same way the way you have downloaded. Go to more add-in, sorry, and search for GPT for Word, Excel Word, download this and keep it. There are some free prompts which can be available over a week. If you want, it's with I think $30 or so, you get some 30,000 prompts. That's how it works, right? Means you get tokens, so you can pick up that. But there are already free prompts available, right? Which you can just take it up. Now, idea is I have these two questions and I have information about each person. I want to get a summary of it. There's a lot of text, and I have to read all of this? May not be. What I will do, I will go GPT forward, let me see if I can use a summarize function. Choose a column. Here my column name is at least, right? At least 2 areas. Concise summary, you can decide what concise. Suppose I just want, let me say 3 bullet points. Choose a column. In my case, I'll pick up a column which is already empty. Let me say AP. Okay. And let me generate. I have got my summary. Let's delete this, not required. Are you able to see? These are the 3 points. I've asked for 3 points. I've got 3 points. The participant has insufficient skills in Python programming. There is a notable deficiency in understanding machine learning concept. And this is all summarization of all this text, which is, God knows, means you can do it for thousands of text and do it in this much, right? And by the way, all of this is in Excel. You don't have to put anywhere in the chat or ChatGPT. This is all happening in Excel. Okay. Now the second thing, I want to do a similar exercise. I want to do a similar exercise for the other also. The reason being, so that we can put the result in a queue so that it doesn't override. Right? What it says, the code and documentation lack optimization and maintainability. There's a clear failure to meet efficiency standard. Clarity in the documentation is insufficient. This is the 2 areas of improvement, right? Could have done well and areas of improvement. Now I want to also know the sentiment or classify whether this is positive or negative, right? Now what I want to do, I want to use another prompt, which is classify. And again, all of this, if you don't like prompting it, just go ahead and say GPT underscore classify, select this, put a comma, write positive, comma, negative. Remember, it takes 2 commands. One is a column name and the categories. It says negative. Okay. Now let me run this maybe for this whole piece. I want to see for this whole piece the same thing. Rather than summarizing it, I want to know individually what people are talking about. I can do a similar exercise. I'll go classify. I'll select all of this text, put a comma. Please stop me if you're unable to follow at any given point of time. You can raise your hand. I'm not able to see the chat, so enter. Negative. This is all negative. Very good.
Hi, Gaurav, there's one question from Nazia. If you can quickly show how to add the add-in.
Okay. Go to add-in in the Excel Home tab. Go to More Add-in and type here. Suppose I want to type AI added formula and then add this add-in. For me, it's already added. Similarly, for other one, you can type GPT for Excel Word. Search. You get this, add this. And once you have added, it will remain. If you close the Excel also, it won't go away. It's a one-time process.
These add-ins are provided by Microsoft or by
Yes.
third party?
No, so there are third parties add-ins also, right? Microsoft allows you to do but this is integrated as part of the Microsoft Office.
I
Some
think
of them
Gaurav, From our end, we can't add any plugins directly to our applications as we have
Yeah, you
organizational
need to take a
restrictions, and we
permission.
need to raise, yes, we need to raise a request for everything. So
Possibly.
whatever the third tool parties or the things we can't add directly. So that's the reason they are not able to add it.
Possibly, yes, yes, you're maybe right. I think there would be some guardrails which will not allowing you to do that. But
Yes.
yeah, for me, it was already there, but I understand, right? Means maybe you would like to try this in your personal machines, and I think it should work. Okay. Now the other interesting thing, and then we can move to the other demo. It's written in English. I want to translate. Now I want to pick up the column AQ, suppose, and translate into Spanish. And my active put results in column AT, or maybe we have AT here. It will translate all. And it supports multiple languages. So when you work for different customers where you get a file and you're not able to, comprehend the information because of the language, Excel allows you to do that, right? And again, multiple languages are available. So you can do a quick sentiment analysis, you can do a quick summarization, you can do a quick translation. It doesn't end there. You can do an extracting if you have a table. You can extract if you have a list. You can, if you see, there are extract tools also available, right? If you want to extract something, search the web, summarize. Means there are multiple. In fact, the same ad, then you don't need the AI formula editor. If you have the license, you can just go and generate the formula also. Whatever you have seen, which I showed it to you previously, works here also. Average age by work class. If I can get that, generate formula, it will generate a formula here. So the same tool is able to do both for me. But I kept two different tools for intended purpose of specific use case. And I insert here and achieve the results. Okay. You can also copy, by the way, if you don't want to insert. Okay, great. So this is all about Excel. I understand some of you may have some access control issues. You may want to try out in your personal machines, or maybe raise the access if required, if it helps in your day-to-day job role, right? Before we move to the other demo, any questions? Okay, now let me quickly show you a demo which is Julius. This is a web-based demo. You can search for it. What it does, I will take up this, right? You can open a new thread. I want to add a file. Let me add a file. I'm uploading a data set. Yeah, this is a data set. This is for heavy duty stuff. Means you can write codes, you can do anything what you want. Again, multiple prompts are available free of cost. If you want to use it as a practice in your office, you can actually buy a license. Okay, now this is the data set. Now let me open certain prompts which I have already written. I want to do a data exploration. So already uploaded. I want to summarize. Basically, the simple English. Summarize the data set to display the. It has already done, by the way. This is already there. Let me pick up the other one. Show me the central tendencies of data. This will basically, you will see how it can take any data set and do things on the go. First, it will write a Python script for you it will explain the code, it will execute the code. Everything is automatically. And it gives you all of this. And it gives you as a table also, by the way, if you want to see. Average, age, income, and annual score, spending score. Let's do something else. I want to do now, create a scatter plot. Now it can also create charts by writing. In fact, this is written on Python. In Python R, you can also export, save the prompt. You can use multiple GPT. It is customizable, right? It is not fixed that you have to only use one. You can also export, download your Jupyter Notebook as Jupyter Notebook. If you already have Jupyter Notebook installed, the whole code will come. Simple English, again, it will write the code for you. It has given me a scatter plot. Okay. Maybe we can try another thing as box plot. Let's try another plot for the same data set and group by profession. And this is a web-based thing. You don't need to download anything, by the way. You just go to this web and start working on it. It also talks about which library in Python it has used, whether matplotlib or seaborn. So it says seaborn. It gives you a distribution and here's a box plot. You can also have an interactive box plot, by the way. This is static version. This is the interactive version. You can select one and dig deeper into this. Clarify this, right? Does that make sense? Any questions? Now this code can be copied. As I mentioned, this code can be edited. This code can be rerun. All of that is possible in the tool.
I have two doubts, Gaurav.
Yes, please.
Am I audible?
Yes, Aparna, you are.
Yeah. So post-cloud is a Julius AI. I believe that we need to create an account first. And is it with our Google so that the output goes to Colab? Is it the case? Or will it be going to GitHub, which I can refer later on? How is it?
You can integrate that, but you can also do a download if you want. You have an option to download as a document as a Jupyter Notebook. You can also share this thread. Yes, you can also share the thread wherever you want. You can convert this to a workflow. There's a lot. This is a highly customizable platform. You can also edit, as I said, and rerun the code and copy if required. Directly copy is also available.
Okay. And the second thing is if I'm having a big data set and I'm having various epochs while modeling, then in my experience, if I run it on the regular Jupyter Notebook online or on Colab, then what happens is if the epoch is very big, then at a certain point of time, it may simply stop working. Or
it will. You need
overloaded.
GPUs. Yes, I got it.
Yeah,
No,
because
this is a very.
there is need of GPUs. So have you
Yes.
encountered such an issue?
As of now, I think it works decently with, I think close to 1 million records should be fine, right? But when you get into obviously high volumes of data, GPU is the only way to go for. Means your local machine cannot handle and process that volumes, right? That's why the GPU processors are available. But if you already have a setup where where your data is being stored, be it on a cloud, you can use these tools to integrate, right? At least if you not, take the code and analyze the code. right, at a smaller data set or a test data set. The idea is, as I said earlier, it won't 100% replace on what you are doing, but it will help you to set the first principles of exploratory data analysis, right? And do it on a larger data set, or customize the way you want. And that is where the job ends. It doesn't solve the 100% problem, Parna. I think that if that is the question you're asking, it won't, right? Because there are dependencies, data dependencies, processor dependencies, volume dependencies. All of that need to be addressed through technology. This is one way to look at it.
Yeah. And I hope it's okay if I ask one more question.
Yes, please, you can. Please.
If I change the Python kernel, then will the code change or how it would go?
Yes, it will. If you change the kernel, you can select 3. It will change automatically. You have to just rerun that code. Are you able to see?
Yeah.
Right. In fact, I always recommend people. Now I'll stop sharing since they are you're already. I have to hand it over to Sachin. I always recommend, right? All of these code enablers are great tools if you understand the logic. Now you see the tool has given you that the tool has used Seaborn as a library. But there are other libraries for data visualization, and when to use what, you know it better. And you can also command a tool to use that particular library in case you want, right? So yeah, those are the implications. I know we are a little late on schedule here, but I'll hand it over to Sachin, and then we'll come back and take some of the questions. Okay, so over to you, Sachin, for the next set of demos.
Sure. Thanks, Gaurav.
Thank you.
Let if my just a second. All right. Hope my screen is visible.
Yes,
Yes.
Sachin, please.
All right. Thank you so much. So I think while Gaurav discussed the aspects around different kind of roles, people using Excel for analysis, uh, and again for synthetic data generation and some of those other scenarios, uh, I will just take 2 specific demos. One with respect to the what is happening in the programming space, how you can leverage. I'm not going to go too much details into a lot of these code generation tools. I'm sure you have worked or you have tried your hands on. If you do not have any experience with that, do let us know. I will be happy to reach out and help you and give you some references around that as well. Uh, I actually wanted to dwell upon one specific area which a lot of the organizations, a lot of developers, especially the enterprise developers, are right now grappling with. What happens is we again, as one of the participants just said, that they are being restricted around using certain specific AI tools and all of those things. And a lot of that control is also because of the fact that there is a lot of issue respect to data leakage and the IP leakage basically. So they need to ensure that there is an IP protection. A lot of work that GSI and the engineering teams, a lot of code that you create is either part of somebody's IP or is a part of product which you cannot actually give it outside. Uh, because as you use all of these tools or these models, especially these public models which are available online like ChatGPT or Gemini or some of those tools which are openly used, they actually use that to train the model back. So it's like a reward model, which is now again it's a new architecture which has come up with respect to the recent releases of some of the models. So it is important that whatever you are sharing, whatever you are asking, uh, whatever you are asking, for example, you're giving a code to help debug some problem or challenges that you have, you're not putting your code or any IP thing outside. So there are there are issues with respect to contractual obligation which you have it with your customers. It's their code, either it's or it's a protected code. You cannot do that, and the customers are asking you to restrict that. Especially in the GSI space, the services industry that we work with, it is very highly restrictive, and it is completely they are very particular about not putting any kind of code outside. While I'm sure you would have tried your hands on Chat GPT and some of the other tools and all of those things, but this challenge can be over uh, looked by putting up different scenarios, and which is where I think some of those things we have been also trying to note, and we wanted to share that with you. Possibly you can and you may not, you may or may not use, but you have to see, because again, these architectures, these tools are still evolving. They are not very perfect. Any code that is getting created or through these code generation tools may not be maybe actually very great. You need to really make a very thorough understanding of the code, what you're writing, what you're asking for, and read through the code properly so that you can actually use it properly. So I think all of these are very important. So while some of these capabilities do help in augmenting your productivity, make you do things faster, people are able to create POCs much faster. Some of the new models are coming a little more improvised and better. But again, we need to ensure what you're using. It may also bring in a bit aspects of code leakage or code quality issues as well, uh, and then cause your applications to break down. So be very cautious when you're using some of these tools. And this is some of the things that I was talk about. So the 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 part which we wanted to highlight was a lot of work now has happened on the local availability of some of these models, where some of these models can be driven locally, completely disconnected from the main internet and from any of these the large network models. And then you can run these local deployed solutions. Now, some of these can be very for some, I would say, not so humongous task. You can actually leverage these models running it locally in your own machines, or maybe at localized networks. But if you were to use it very thoroughly, you need to actually properly properly put a proper infrastructure behind. As for example, one of the conversations that Gaurav was also having, that if you were to leverage this beyond a specific load or scale, you need to actually put a lot of GPUs and the inference behind the whole thing. So because inferences also requires a lot of GPU, and that is the talk of the town today nowadays. Uh, and this has gained a little more prominent because of the fact that some of the recent releases in the form of a DeepSeek model, which has been launched by one of the Chinese organization, and they have caused a havoc on the US stock markets and given a very open challenge to how these local models can be executed and you can leverage them much better. And you can use that. For example, this tool specific Olama has been there for quite a while. Ever since, for example, Meta launched their Llama 3s and all of this, Olama was a tool which was created to allow local models to be deployed at the local machine, and they can be again given a complete guardrail. You anything that you write, you're interacting with this LLM models. It is not going outside. Again, I will again say it with a lot of caution and restriction. Not every in output which is coming out is perfect. You need to really analyze what is the output which is getting generated and really make sure that it is giving you the right responses. Again, prompts have to be reconfigured. Every LLM model have their own set of asks. What kind of prompting will work? For example, some zero shot prompting works. In some cases, multiple shot prompting works. So you really need to understand which kind of models give you what kind of support, and the solutions around the whole thing. Uh, so I think some of these are kind of game changing tools which are coming up. I just wanted to share a couple of these things that we have also been trying our hands on. So you can go ahead and actually uh, get Olama from the web. You just need to download the tool. Basically, once you download, and you can gradually search for different models over here, and download these models. All you need to do is run it like a on a terminal command. Some of these models, it's more of a Dockerize certain containers which are required. They eventually come down, and then the the whole model is actually loaded. So I have also, for example, deployed some of these models here. This is one of the DeepSpeak model, but not through Olama. But again, I have done through Olama as well. So that is also there. But this is one of the DeepSpeak model which is recently making a lot of noise in the in the generative AI space. I think it has caused a huge loss on the stock valuations of Nvidia in the recent past. This models typically, the beauty of this model is it comes in different variants. This is a 1.5 billion parameter model, while there are 16 to 40 to 200 billion parameter models are also available. But again, this particular model, the 1.5 billion one, is a shorter one, which is completely downloadable on the browser itself. So I have downloaded it once. It takes a little bit time with the first time, and then you can actually do that. If you were to just give a small prompt, the difference that this is making and causing a lot of hue and cry is all about, because it is doing a lot of reasoning now. So if you notice, when you give a problem, it is trying to think like a human and trying to come out with different possible combinations. So it is still not answering, it is still thinking. And once the whole thinking happens, then it will try and give you a proper answer. Now, all this right now, it is happening locally, okay, on the browser right now itself. I have downloaded this again from a Hugging Face. It's a GitHub repository. Now, once the understanding thinking part is done, the reasoning is done, then the final solution comes out. So this is what is actually being a little game changer, because the current models which are coming out with by OpenAI and other prominent players in this space, uh, they were trying to come up with and asking for a lot of inference compute behind the whole thing. And I think that is where the ask from the NVIDIA was to supply a lot of GPUs to do a lot of inference, not only for training the models, but also for inferencing, because the more people will use, they would need a huge racks of GPUs to be doing this. But I think this Chinese organization, DeepSeek, has solved this problem in a very insignificant, almost 1/10 the amount. And this has caused a huge concern, because again, the amount of valuations and investments everybody was talking about, it has gone for a toss. Aparna, I'll just take a question after a while, just if allow me, just to cover some of those questions. Uh, Again, some of these things, what you can do is actually completely download linked. What I have done here is also I have downloaded the entire model. I have actually, through a Visual Studio extension called Code GPT Chat. Again, it's a trial where basically there's a portion of which is free. For again, for using it extensively, you need to actually pay for a license fee for Code GPT as well. But this whole this model which I've downloaded is free completely, and I can use that to create any kind of code and application. For example, I was just trying to use an existing prompt. Okay, let me uh, create a new file basically. And I'll just give this prompt here, and I'll ask it to work on it. So it takes a bit of time. Again, as I said, this is a localized model. It is right now taking inputs from a model which is deployed locally. This model is actually running here. If you notice, it is through Olama. If I just show you the list of models that I have, uh, one second, let that finish, then I'll show you. And this is actually creating the entire code. It has done the little bit of thinking around what it needs to do to create this code. Now, again, this code may not be completely perfect. This code is a little bit of streamed again from a localized server. So you need to check for all the other instances, issues, and challenges. For example, this weather widget may require some data from outside APIs. You need to configure the API keys and some of those aspects of the whole thing. But again, makes the work more faster, better. Again, you do not have to worry about those IP protection and some of those challenges as an issue, because none of your data or none of the things which are going outside, you can actually give a code and ask you to debug the whole thing. There are several use cases in the programming space, in the testing space, in the DevOps space. A lot of people are trying to use and leverage some of these GenAI capabilities. So it helps you augment some of those things better. So if you notice, it has done the entire piece. I can just click on insert code and the entire code is copied here. And I can go ahead and run this possibly. So I will see if this code works in the first go. Otherwise, I'll have to go and fix some of those things. So if you notice, it is trying to get data from the open API right now, and it is able to show me. Again, I can beautify the whole thing. I can make it much better. Some of the images which are not coming properly, I can actually do all of this. But this gives you that you do not have to buy too very expensive licensing to get some of the work done. As a developer, as an enterprise developer, since there are a lot of restrictions and guardrails around how to leverage some of these capabilities outside. But given the permission, if you could deploy some of these models locally, which are actually not making any contact outside your network, that will give you a little more of better productivity gains in the whole space. Again, you can use some of these models here as well. I'm running this, for example. Let me just show you another. This Llama 3, I'm actually running this model again at locally completely. And this is again through Olama, basically. I have different models here. I can choose which models I want to use and train. I can actually write prompts to train some of these models to behave in a specific way as well. And I'll just click on, I'm just taking a quick prompt, which was there as a default. And this is again coming completely locally for you. So this is some of these tools like Olama, DeepSeek, they are causing a huge, huge change and shift in the way things are being approached, especially from a programming standpoint. Yeah, I'll be okay to take any questions now on this part, if that is there. Aparna, you had some question? Abhilash, would you be kind enough if there is a question on the chat?
I don't think so as of now. I'm just
Yeah.
checking the chat, Sachin. There's no
All right.
question. But I think you can take 2-3 minutes to allow people to speak if they don't want to write.
All right.
You can unmute yourself and ask the question, please. I know this we tried to cover too many things, but we also want to keep it simple at the same point of time. So use easier tools, right, which will help you to go back and in your
Yeah,
activity and achieve certain
this
tasks.
this was more specific and relevant to the engineering community. The programmers, they will like and appreciate some of those the new scenarios which are becoming possible. Uh, DeepSeek is something which has come up very, very recently and new, and is causing a lot of noise in this space.
Vivek has a question. Yeah.
Yeah, Vivek.
In your VS Code, you are showing that Code GPT. You are just download the extension, and in
Yes.
local, you are running that with
Yeah.
Olama. You are running that model. Am I right? Am I right?
Yes, yes. So if you notice, am I able to show the screen again here? On the Code GPT, what I've done here is, so so there are, either you can go to straight away cloud models. If you have some models which you can actually use recommended models online, and you provide the API keys. Local models, I have all of these installed. So I have given provider as Olama and DeepSeek as one of the models which are available locally with
Okay,
me.
okay. Then means to use this, we need to we need to install locally those stuffs. Am I right?
Yes, so I need to install locally, and this is where what I have done here is some of these models I have actually installed locally. So when I say Olama,
In this case, everything is was a free version only. Nothing has been paid.
Yes,
Am I right?
nothing. No. This is all free. This is all free.
In
No,
case
no.
if I need to uninstall any of the DeepSeek or Code Llama,
You
means
could.
I
Yeah,
can do
you
that,
could.
right?
Yes, yes, you could
Okay.
delete them. Okay, and you can clear them from this list.
Okay.
Okay,
Okay.
and these can be refreshed again, can be deleted. All that has been controlled. So LM Studio is one of the Google's tool, and Olama is again an open source one which you can use and leverage some of these things. Yes, Aparna.
Hi. Hi, Sachin. I have a question regarding the current hype of this. As you mentioned that
Yeah.
just in last few days, this has immediately became the top
Mm.
thing that everyone is talking about and so on.
Yeah. Yeah.
When I was trying this, what I found that online version, of course, not the downloadable one. In the online version, I found that there are certain questions or maybe concepts about which the tool won't talk a lot, or
Exactly.
sometimes don't talk anything about it. It will just give me some specific message that we can answer only so and so things and so on. Did you encounter any of such thing in the online version? And second question is about, as this is being backed up by China, how safe it would be to download it? Did you encounter any of such issues? Thanks.
Okay, so let me answer both the things. So if, for example, the models are unable to answer certain specific things, and all of these models have been again provisioned by humans, and all humans have biases, and these models will have also biases associated with them. So I think, Aparna, going forward, you will have to accept a reality. Any LLM model that will come out will not be without any bias, or not be without some of these things will not be answered properly. So we have been also hearing, I have not tried it personally, but I think some of these questions around the Northeast, or some of the questions around Tiananmen Square, some of those things are not being answered by especially this DeepSeek model, which people are claiming. I haven't personally checked, but they. So what I have tried is something which is a downloadable version, again on mostly on the programming and the other aspects of the whole thing. Uh, so what I can assure you, given that even if it's a Chinese model, especially if you look at go ahead and look at the terms and conditions, the privacy settings over there, the online version does capture all the telemetry around whatever you are typing, but the local model has absolutely zero connection with the network outside. So nothing is going out from the local installation or configuration. So I think that I can try, and you can actually check that out personally. I have tried disconnecting the internet and tried that model several times, and it has been working very fine with me. So I don't think any kind of data which is going outside from that perspective. But again, on the online version, on the DeepSeek website, they themselves are saying that we will be capturing a lot of that information, which is fair, because if you were to use their platform to run some of your ask and some of those things, it will make sense for them to capture and understand. One of the very important things that I just want to share again, I will reiterate that for example, in the DeepSeek kind of architectural models, the inferences are themselves becomes the input of the whole thing. So the more questions you are asking, the more better it will get trained. So it is like a human learning from its own mistakes. So this is where I think this whole architecture is working towards. So again, we wanted to actually, in fact, me and Gaurav was chatting that should we discuss about biases and hallucinations, and are these normal for LLM models? Yes, these are normal. Hallucinations also, people do say it's a drawback, but we debated, and I think we agreed that hallucination is also a feature, because if you look at all of these LLM models, we want them to behave like humans, and humans have biases, humans have hallucinations. All of that is an important characteristic of where we are. Sorry, it was a very longish answer, but yeah. Mithali.
Thank you.
All right. I'll just quickly dwell into another set of tools that we have been doing and working upon. Uh, so this the new set of word is actually moving towards something called as building a lot of use cases and agents for a specific areas. Now, again, to the first question that was asked in this whole group was that why do you say that Chat GPT and Gemini, and is it different from the generative AI? As Gaurav beautifully clarified and everything. I just want to add on to that is that more and more now that you will start working and interacting, you will realize that you need more specific use case based tools to be created. So we are also have been working in our space because we are an edtech company. We have been working with a lot of corporate skillings and we train a lot of learners again from freshers to laterals to senior leaders and on different areas and technologies. We also want to improve our productivity as well as improve the learner's experience, again, covering all those productivity, quality, and those angles. So we created something called as a platform called Content Crafter. It is a platform which has a lot of agents and designs. I'll just dwell straight away into that. I know we have a very less time. This is something that we had created, something called as GenAI. It's a beautiful set of tools that we have created for ourselves. So this is something called, for example, is a skill mentor. As the name suggests, uh, uh, it will ask you what you want to learn today. For example, I just want to say I want to learn about data analysis using again MS Excel. I'm just saying, giving an example, but you can put anything here. This is dynamically creating a set of modules and lessons and topics and areas for you to start learning. Now, very soon, this is going to be part of our learning platform, again, to giving more adaptive, personalized learning experience. So it creates a set of 5 modules for me in front of me. And this all is getting generated dynamically as of now, as we are discussing. So when I click on a specific module, it will open up the entire set of lessons for me. And each of these lessons will have their associated time and effort. But not only that, lessons will have those things, but it will have some more additional things, which I'll just show it to you once it comes up. Uh, this again, given that this topic will have all of these detail, we are trying to see how do we link it up with little more information, giving more deep dive for a specific kind of audience as well. So if you notice, uh, it has created all the 5 lessons under that module of introduction to MS Excel, and all of these lessons are neatly listed and all of that. There are certain missing aspects of certain things which we are trying to improvise and work upon. But the beauty of the whole thing is not only it's limited to giving you the content of going through the whole thing, but you can ask further question on this area and topic and specific areas. It will give you some exercises, some interview Q&A questions, MCQ quiz assessment. So we are trying to now link it with our assessment engine dynamically also. This was also one of the challenges that people used to, they need to use a new set of assignments of the areas and topics they want to learn, and if they want to get more questions. So you're not limited to waiting for a content team to help you create some of those things. We are helping provisioning this on the fly dynamically to you. So these are tips and tricks and further resources to learn about some of those things. So this is one such tool that we are creating for our for the learners basically, and how they can go about and learning some of these content. This content can be completely downloaded as well. Once it is completely downloaded, we can create PPTs out of the whole thing as well from that perspective. Then I'll just go back and show you. So this is something which we realize that people have to learn, and the adaptive learning has to happen. What we can do over there. This is another beautiful tool we created, how to go about creating mind maps basically from the scratch. So for example, if I were to look at Java full stack, uh, and I want to create a mind map about the whole thing. Now, the beautiful part it will go ahead and create the entire mind map here, and it will give me an option to learn from, give me an option to modify and learn from all the whole thing. So if you want to learn from for any topic and area, you do not know what are these subtopics and the subtopics and areas of the whole thing. Beautiful tool to help you do this. Again, it gives you a visual editor. We can go ahead and further elaborate on these areas as well. I can say, okay, expand with AI, or I can manually type some of those things. Then you link it back with the content which can be created. So no more you have to wait and understand for an area what can be done, what area can be picked up. But again, if you notice, it has expanded the whole thing. Very, very beautiful tool. You can download it as HTML and then start running it or share it with your peers and going through this. Coming down the line, we are actually trying to link resources and learnings into the whole thing, so which will make things a little more easier. I think some of these use cases we realized that was very, very critical for the learners that we are building and working with. So this is, for example, is uh, a code reviewer tool basically. Now, often we need to review a lot of work for our learners basically, and certain times. Okay, I think some challenge right now. Oh, I think maybe the file is an issue over there. So. So we realize that it is important that, for example, people need feedback on their work, what they're doing and how they're doing. While we have created one of the very beautiful tools which gives, we have created test cases, but often the writing style and the standard guidelines are not followed by all the learners as a whole. And hence some of these tools, for example, uh, is giving, oh, I think some issue with the backend maybe. I'll just say 1 second. Try and launch it again. 1 second.
Yeah, Sachin, for the interest of time, we are only 5 minutes away from the closure.
Oh,
Yeah.
So I think this is a beautiful set of tools that we have created for our own, and we are around to give it to our learners. Similarly, I'm sure you guys will also think through some of those aspects of your own areas and work and operations that you will work upon. Uh, this was one of the very important messages that we wanted to give, not only, for example, to leverage the magic which comes with generative AI. It cannot be done or cannot be provisioned unless we have a good data foundation in place. And data foundation not only means the setting up the entire infrastructure, but in fact having the right set of team members, skill set, and everything. So those are important aspects of the whole thing for any generative AI scenario to work. Going beyond generative AI, if data is the new oil that everybody talks about, then the AI agents are the new engines that will augment human productivity and software applications. And hence, everybody, I'm sure you will be looking at it. Year is going to be more about agentic AI and AI of AI agents this year, and agents of different nature, agents of not only giving inferences and reasoning, but actually also helping you take actions and doing a lot of automation work for you little more intelligently. So in this regard, what we have been doing is actually we are also we have been working on this point of view, which we have come out, which has been taken fairly very well by most of the organization that we have been working with. We have actually touched upon almost 20,000 learners so far in different areas, and all our offerings and programs are under these 4 A's of uh, enablement. A First A is all about awareness. Second A is about application, doing hands-on, going a little more deep dive into role-based programs for what is there for software engineering, for tester, for HR professional, for sales and marketing professional, or any of those kind of things. Augmentation is all about RAG development, retrieval augmentation generation. It is all about orchestrating and writing prompt engineering systems, going a little more deeper in leveraging LLM models to build new experiences and scenarios. And all the agents that you saw is actually trying to leverage some of these augmentation related skills over there. And adaptation. How do you go about leveraging cloud AI stacks or maybe local stacks? How do you build your own private LLM models? We have, for example, created something called as an AI mentor, which only talks about Java full stack. Because of the paucity of time, I could not show you, but it is more like a chat GPT solution. And we have various offerings that we have come out with the whole thing. And this is something which we are coming out uh, in the next week or so. We are launching this program called Full Stack Agentic AI Programming. This covers the entire aspects of the new set of stacks which are coming up in helping us leverage, build new the agents, and mostly focus towards the developer community. But there are initial awareness level programs which is there for everyone to go through. Again, I'll just skip some of those things and get straight to Q&A. We do not have time, but we'll be happy to take any questions that respect. Sorry, we had to hush it up, but yeah.
Yes, yes. I think the idea is, we try to take a very honest approach on how we can sort of leverage the available tools. And most of the one what we have showed are open source, at least to some extent. And if you want to do a deeper analysis, it will require some licensing. But you can actually play around with the tool, right? And try to understand also how it can help me for my particular job role or for the activities what you are doing. But yes, there is a question. Could you also please share the PDF document which you have? Of course, we will. We'll. Whosoever has registered for the session and email ID is what we have, we will share that material with you guys.
Hope this was useful. We'll be happy to take up more deep dive sessions, uh, which will probably give you a little more idea. We didn't want to take the standard kind of demonstrations or things. We wanted to just give out really more specific into areas which are impacting and how those solutions can be given, especially to your community.
Yeah, yeah. And one before we wrap up the session, it would be very nice if you can share your feedback or anything else which you want us to cover in the next webinar series. Pick up any topic in GenAI, AI, data. I
Yeah.
think we would be more than happy to take it up. And want to make it very contextual, for the people who want to attend these kind of sessions.
Hi, Sachin and Gaurav and everyone. It was really nice session, quite informative, and really short of time. I mean, we would have loved to have more discussion about this and the demo. One topic that comes to my mind is showing the demo of what might be causing, what are the hallucinations or the issues when we get some output and we may tend to accept it the way it is, and how to be vigilant about what we accept and don't, and also about the guardrails. So if we
Yeah.
can give more emphasis on do's, and I mean do's we know, but don'ts also are important, and
Sure.
what might be the ethical guidelines one should follow while using such GenAI tools. That will be
Sure.
really helpful. Thanks.
Yeah.
We'll make a note. I think it's more of responsible AI under the
Yeah.
area of AI ethics and what is the impact on the whole again on humans as well as working on the whole thing. Definitely we can do a session on it.
Yeah, I think that is going to be a great topic. AI ethics in AI, responsible AI, and so one quick thing what I can add, right? Whenever you do it, and I'll give you a small hack. Whenever you use ChatGPT, all of us use ChatGPT, right? So, and most of us at least, always ask for the sources. ChatGPT has now enabled, at least the 4.0 has the capability to list out the sources and go and see the sources if you can, right? And see and validate some of that information, especially the links and the hyperlinks what it shares. You're absolutely right. Never take it on the face value. Never take it anything on what is provided to you in the first go. But I think very very good interaction, guys. Thanks a lot for joining in. We're already over 2 minutes. I hope the session was useful. More than happy to connect in the future for other topics, right? So thanks a lot. Have a good day.
Thank you all. Thank you.
Thank you.